One fine morning on the island of Sodor, an unfamiliar green diesel arrived at Brentham Docks with a train of china clay. His name was Boko, and this was his first job as one of the Fat Controller's engines. He had already met Edward, and the two engines had quickly become good friends. He looked forward to meeting the other engines, but he wasn't aware of just how soon that would happen. No sooner had he stopped in a siding when he heard an unfamiliar whistle in the distance.
Must be another engine working on this branch line,
he thought to himself. A few minutes later, a small yellow engine appeared in front of him. The engine eyed him suspiciously. Boko looked up.
Do you mind?
He asked ominously. He had seen this sort of behavior on the other railway, and knew this sort of engine would only mean trouble.
Yes,
said the tank engine.
I do. I'd like my trucks, please.
Boko wasn't about to let this unfamiliar little engine order him about.
These are mine, he said firmly. Go away.
Oh, you're a big bully,
whimpered the little tank engine.
You'll be sorry.
The tank engine scuttled off, leaving Boko to roll his eyes.
I doubt it,
he chuckled, feeling very pleased with himself. He was about to move off when the tank engine rolled in front of him again, making him stop suddenly.
Truck stealer!
The tank engine hissed.
What? How?
Boko stuttered, but before he could finish, the tank engine raced away. Seconds later, he appeared again, and again, and again. This went on until Boko's eyes nearly popped out.
Stop! You're making me giddy!
He pleaded. He found not just one, but two tank engines gazing at him, one on each side.
Are there two of you?
Yes, we're twins!
I might have known it,
Boko chuckled, but secretly he felt rather annoyed. Just then, Edward bustled up and sized up the situation. It wasn't long before the confusion was sorted out, and Bill and Ben were sent on their way.
There's no real harm in them, smiled Edward, but they're maddening at times.
Boko chuckled.
Maddening, he said, is the word. But I still wish someone would put those two in their place. What's given them the right to act that way to other engines?
Now, Boko, soothed Edward. They only acted out because they thought you stole their trucks. Those two just don't know when to stop sometimes.
Then they should have asked, said Boko indignantly. How could I have known?
You saw how sorry they were when they realized their mistake. Give them a chance. I'm sure in due time will warm up to you.
If you say so, Edward,
Boko sighed. Oh, he felt that perhaps Edward was wrong. Soon, Bill and Ben returned with Boko's trucks, though the only thanks he gave was a toot of his horn as he left the harbor. Later that day, Boko had been asked to pull the express after James had left the train behind. He was excited to do so, and managed to surprise Bill and Ben as he raced for Edward Station. They then thought it wise not to pull tricks on such a strong engine. However, they did end up pulling one on poor Gordon, as Boko saw one day as he pulled into the harbor.
Boko, my dear engine!
Gordon gasped desperately.
Save me!
Don't listen to him, Boko,
Bill grinned.
It's only a pile of old scrap. We'll shut him out of the way. Don't you worry,
chuckled Ben. Boko scowled.
Oh no, you won't. This is a useful engine. One who pulls the express every day. Leave him alone or else I won't give you this coal.
Dad made the twins behave at once, though they still giggled quietly among themselves as they hurried away.
Those little demons,
Gordon said admiringly.
How do you do it?
Boko was quite flattered. Doc had previously said that Edward was the only one who could keep Bill and Ben in order.
Oh well,
he said modestly.
It's just a knack. I can't believe they would do something like this. It's one thing to confuse me, but to fret to push another engine into the sea, that's disgraceful. I couldn't have put it better myself,
agreed Gordon.
Thank you, Boko, for saving my life.
Neither Gordon nor Boko realized that the twins were only teasing, though Edward did. He scolded the twins severely when he heard about it, much to Boko's relief. However, he wasn't done.
It serves you right for being so arrogant,
Edward said sternly to Gon. Gon was furious, and Boko wasn't too happy either.
How could you say that, Edward? Those demons nearly pushed Gon into the sea!
Boko exclaimed.
They're certainly not demons, Boko. They'd never do something like that. You've been with Gon too much.
Boko, however, wasn't so sure. A few days later, Boko was waiting at Wellsworth with a passenger train. The Fat Controller had asked him to look after Edward's branch line while the old engine was being repaired following his exploit. He quite enjoyed the slower pace of his workload, as it was a nice change from the bustle of the main line. Just as Boko was about to leave, Bill and Ben arrived with a train of China clay for James's afternoon goods. Usually they would only deliver the trucks to Brendan, but since Edward was being repaired, their manager had agreed to let the twins make deliveries up to Wellsworth. When they saw Boko waiting at the platform, they couldn't help but laugh at the sight of such a large diesel engine pulling small branch line coaches.
What do we have here, Bill?
Ben snickered.
What, Ben? An engine that's too lazy for the main line. Why else would he do such easy work?
The twins laughed as Boko pulled out of the station, feeling very cross. Later that day, Boko was organizing his goods train in Wellsworth Yard. He was still waiting for Bill and Ben to bring their train of China clay before he could depart. Soon the twins arrived with their trucks.
Look, Bill! It looks like Boko's taking us slow goods!
Ben chuckled.
Not happy with us stopping local, eh? He's even lazier when we fought!
Bill laughed.
And manager says we are just because we want to sleep 5 more minutes!
The twins scoffed at their joke, but all Boko could do was seethe with fury. The twins coupled up their trucks to Boko's goods train, and the diesel went on his way towards Titmuth.
They're getting worse and worse.
Boko fumed angrily to himself.
I thought I had them under control. It's high time someone taught them a lesson.
But try as he might, he couldn't think of a plan to do it. Soon Boko reached Titmuth Station. He saw Gon taking on water in a siding.
Hello, Boko, my dear engine.
Gon smiled.
Something seems to be allaying you today. Penny for your thoughts?
It's Bill and Ben, Boko explained and told them everything.
The cheek those two have!
Gon exclaimed.
You'd think they'd have more respect for engines like us!
And Edward seems content with letting them get away with it, Boko grumbled.
It seems like we'll just have to do something about it ourselves. An excellent idea. What do you propose we do?
Gon asked inquisitively.
That's just it. I'm not sure,
Boko admitted.
I'm not one to scheme, it seems.
Gon thought for a moment, before smirking.
Never fear, my dear engine. I think I have an idea.
He whispered his plan to Boko, who gasped once he was finished.
Why, that's very clever! I wish I'd thought of it myself. No need to thank me, Boko. And trust me, it's worked before. You sure was rough and said we won't take their tricks any longer. Indeed. I'll do it tomorrow.
The next afternoon, Boko was at Wellsworth waiting to depart with an important fast goods train for Vickerstown. The Fat Controller had asked Duck to handle the passenger trains until Boko returned.
Why haven't you left, Boko? You're going to be late,
Duck asked from the other platform.
I'm still waiting on a few more trucks,
Boko explained. Bill and Ben were supposed to bring up some China clay trucks to add to the train, but they were running late. This was just what Boko wanted. Now, the plan would go even more smoothly than he had hoped. By the time Bill and Ben arrived, it was nearly time for Boko to start.
Where have you two been?
Boko demanded, trying to hide a smile.
Surely such hard-working engines like you would know how to keep to time.
There was a faulty signal on the way here,
Bill huffed.
Oh? How am I supposed to trust you two? How do I know you're not just trying to trick me again, or possibly even purposely make my train late?
What? We wouldn't do that!
Ben protested.
You can't just blame everything on us!
Bill added. Boko rolled his eyes.
Just get your trucks attached to my train or else I'll be really late, he ordered.
So Bill and Ben grumpily ran around their train and shunted it behind the rest of Boko's trucks. but before they could be uncoupled, Boko started with a jolt.
Hey!
The twins cried.
What's happening?
Boko gave no reply and kept moving towards the open line, dragging Bill and Ben behind him.
Stop! Stop!
They shouted.
Well, late enough as it is.
Boko retorted.
If we stop now, this important delivery will be later still.
Duck, waiting for his guard's whistle, watched in horror as Boko started disappearing from sight.
Boko, what are you doing? Stop! Stop!
He called out, but it was no use. Boko had gone, and Bill and Ben with him. Out of fear that they would be held responsible for making the train late, the guard and the twins' drivers thought it would be best to keep their hands off the brake. Boko picked up speed down the main line, chuckling to himself as Bill and Ben continued pleading him to stop. The twins weren't used to such high speeds or long distances. Their wheels and axles were hurting them, and they were all out of breath, but they had to go on.
Please, Boko!
They pleaded in agony.
Please stop!
But Boko didn't answer. He just kept racing towards the other end of the line with the twins wailing behind. At last, after what seemed like ages, they arrived at Vickerstown. The twins were finally uncoupled, gasping for breath as they slunk away into a siding for a long drink.
How's that for lazy? Boko chuckled. Have any more jokes for me?
Neither Bill or Ben could say anything. Not just out of exhaustion, but also out of something the twins had never felt before. Fear.
That's what I thought.
Boko said firmly.
If you torment me or anyone else again, you'll have me to answer to. Is that clear?
The twins didn't reply, but Boko already knew what their answer was. With that, he went to collect his return tray, leaving behind two very weary and scared tank engines. When he reached Titmuth, Boko was eager to tell Gorn about what had happened.
It worked even better than I expected,
Boko said proudly.
I don't think those two will bother us anymore. I'm glad to hear it, chuckled Gorn. You were splendid, Boko. I'm glad that at least we could knock some sense into them.
The two laughed, not noticing that a horrified Duck had overheard them. Later that night, Boko was backing into Worldsworth Sheds after a hard day of work, when the fat controller came up to him, and he didn't look happy.
Boko! What's this I hear about you dragging Bill and Ben all the way to Vickerstown on your goods train?
Boko gulped.
Sir, I didn't want to do it, but they were running late. If we had uncoupled them, it would have made me later than ever. Boko, you and I both know that's not the truth. Do you really expect me to believe that you couldn't spare the few seconds it would take to uncouple Bill and Ben before you headed off? And from what I hear, you apparently did it deliberately, so you could knock some sense into them.
Boko gasped.
Sir! How did you... You and Gorn should be more careful about where you talk about your plans. Duck overheard you and told me at once.
Boko sighed.
I was just so tired of Bill and Ben and them making amends that I wanted to teach them a lesson. Edward didn't seem too interested in doing so. Rightfully so, said the fat controller sternly. I understand that sometimes Bill and Ben can get out of control, Boko. But you must understand that trying to get revenge is not the right thing to do. No matter how much of a nuisance they may be. Especially if it means dragging them all the way up to Vickerstown. You caused a lot of trouble pulling that stunt. Henry found the two rolling slowly along the main line and had to give them a push back down to Wellsworth. Not to mention the bad luck that the clay pits experienced. I had to have Doc work there in their absence and rearrange Douglas's duty so he could pull the passengers instead. You have no idea how much Doc's been worked off his wheels.
Boko felt very embarrassed.
I'm sorry, sir, he said meekly. I suppose I was so keen on carrying out the plan that I didn't stop to think about how it could affect the others. Gordon told me about the time he dragged Thomas behind the express, and he said Thomas never woke him up from his sleep again after that. I just thought it would work for me. Firstly, what Gordon didn't tell you is that he did get in trouble for pulling that trick on Thomas. He spent some time pulling goods trains because of it. Secondly, after the accident, Thomas was almost afraid of going near Gordon because he thought you would drag him away again. Even today, he hesitates to make fun of Gordon because he still thinks Gordon will try to drag him away if he gets the chance. It wouldn't surprise me if Bill and Ben felt the same way now towards you.
Boko felt terrible. He now realized the consequences of what he did on the twins.
I'm very sorry, sir. I'll go apologize to the twins right away in the morning. I should hope so,
The Fat Controller said firmly.
If you are to work on this branch line, I expect you to get along with them. In future, leave dealing with them to me.
And with that, the Fat Controller left, leaving Boko with a lot to think about. The next morning, Boko had to take a goods train to Brandon. He hoped that the run would give him a chance to apologize to Bill and Ben. But when he arrived, he couldn't find the twins anywhere.
That's odd, he said to himself. They should have been here by now.
Then he saw the twins at the far end of the harbor at the back of a siding.
Bill? Ben?
Boko asked worriedly. Both looked at him in fear as they raced out of the harbor. Boko winced, but tried again.
Bill! Ben!
Still no response.
I'm sorry!
Both twins stopped and listened.
I'm sorry I acted so harsh to you two. I should never have gotten so cross at you for just making quips at me. I guess I just can't take a joke. And I'm sorry that I dragged you all the way to Vickerstown on my goods train. It was wrong, and I should have never put you two through that sort of harm. You don't have to forgive me, but just know that I'm sorry.
No engine said a word for a moment. Then Bill and Ben came up to Boko.
Look, Ben,
Bill said cautiously at first.
who knew that Mr. Diesel here could actually show humility? I know, Bill,
Ben added with more confidence.
I never expected an engine so strong to come across as so weak. Maybe he was just so lazy that he had to wait until now to apologize.
The twins laughed, and shortly Boko joined in. Soon all three engines were laughing like old friends, and in no time at all, they were all chatting away as if nothing had happened. When Edward returned from the works a week later, he was very cross with Boko and Gon when he heard about the incident, but delighted when Bill and Ben revealed that they had forgiven him and were now friends. Edward was quick to forgive Boko too, and welcomed him warmly as Boko joined him in running the Brandon branch. Boko sees Bill and Ben every day, and has grown fond of them. He doesn't take things quite so seriously anymore, and has learned to take the twins' teasing in his stride. Edward has taught him a great deal on how to properly manage them, and all four engines are now great friends. No matter how much he may be teased by Bill and Ben, Boko knows that he is very lucky to have